Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there is a ton of news stories to get into today. So let's start off talking about Lita. Yes, Lita, WWE Hall of Famer Lita, made her return to WWE last night on Friday Night Smackdown. It was a special episode of Smackdown for those watching and those in attendance. Not so much for the Smackdown Women's Champion Charlotte Flair, though. Now, this week's episode, you could argue, you'd be telling the truth, that it wasn't particularly star-studded, but it did have a great moment and segment in which WWE Hall of Famer Lita returned, and what was in her first SmackDown appearance in over 20 years, and was confronted by SmackDown Women's Champion Charlotte Flair. Now, as I mentioned, the former Women's Champion returned to SmackDown in what was her first appearance on the Blue brand in 20 years, and was interviewed by Michael Cole, who asked her, why are you returning to the ring? Because, of course, she's returning in the Women's Royal Rumble match later on this month. Now, Lita stated that she's returned and entered the Women's Royal Rumble match because she believes she has one last final run left in her. This is when Charlotte Flair came out, and it resulted in an altercation where the WWE Hall of Famer took out the Women's Champion via a twist of fate. Now, Charlotte Flair referred to Lita's best friend Trish Stratus and her return in 2019. As you may recall, Stratus and Flair had a marquee match at SummerSlam in 2019, where, of course, Charlotte Flair won. It's Trish Stratus' last match to date, I believe, in what was actually a really great match. It was in Toronto at SummerSlam. So, as far as the segment went last night, it was fine. I enjoyed it. Always great seeing Lita back in the ring. The twist of fate, this is such a bugbear of mine, and it's probably just mine, I don't know, me being neurotic, I don't know. But the twist of fate is one of those moves that does kind of take you out of it because... So it's a kick to the gut, and then you get them under, you front face lock them, you get them under, and they do the whole, put the hand out and all that kind of stuff. And Charlotte Flair's just standing there. It wasn't a particularly, shall we say, smooth twist of fate, but I don't know if it really, I could see, and this is what I think might happen from it. Lita isn't winning the Royal Rumble. She's not winning the Women's Royal Rumble. Charlotte Flair, even though she's in it, she's not winning the Women's Royal Rumble. Thank God. Could you imagine the uproar if that happened? So Charlotte Flair, Lita, they're not winning the Rumble. What I could see, and Lita said it herself, she's back because she feels she has one more run left in her, which kind of does tie into these AEW rumors and stories about her that we're going to talk about in the AEW news video later today. But it kind of does link into that. So this is going to be more than just a Rumble appearance from Lita, and we got some backstage news on her plans going forward. But I could certainly see a scenario whereby, where are they going next month? They're going back to Saudi Arabia. That's the big money. That's the big money pay-per-view. Even though WrestleMania is on the horizon, Saudi Arabia is the biggest money pay-per-view for WWE in terms of talent, in terms of payoffs. That's why Saudi Arabia get all of these legends and they get all of these big matches and these big shows. I wouldn't be surprised if WWE has arranged a deal with Lita or worked out a deal whereby she's competing in the Rumble. She'll have a match at the Saudi Arabia show, whatever that's called. She'll get a big payoff because of that. And then I think she might have a match at WrestleMania. As to what that match will be, I don't know. I think the idea of possibly, I don't know, the Bella Twins versus Lita and Stratus, Women's Tag Team Championships. That's a big match. That's a massive match. It doesn't involve any full-time talent, but that goes to show WWE's issues when it comes to creating full-time stars. I could see that happening. I think we are going to get Flair versus Lita at some point. Obviously, like I said, neither are going to win the Rumble. The segment itself was fine. Lita's coming out to the theme song. Her pop was great. That was great. As I mentioned, as far as her winning the Rumble, that's not going to happen. As far as her winning the SmackDown Women's Championship, again, that's not going to happen. But I could see something sort of getting bigger. Now, as far as the plans for this SmackDown event and her SmackDown appearance last night, it was sort of randomly announced, wasn't it, Friday or Thursday night, that she would be appearing on the show. And everyone went, that's kind of sudden, in the same way that the Women's Royal Rumble participants the prior week was announced, and that was kind of sudden. Well, PW Insider is reporting that the former Women's Champion was not actually scheduled to be part of the show until Thursday. That's why when it was announced, it was just because it had just been confirmed that she was actually going to even be on the show. WWE decided to bring her in at the last minute. They even purchased a plane ticket so the Hall of Famer could be on the show. This was the Hall of Famer's first appearance, as I mentioned, on the Blue brand in 20 years. Her last in-ring appearance came in 2018 when she teamed up with Trish Stratus, Natalya, and Sasha Banks and Bayley to defeat Mickie James, Alicia Fox, and the Riot Squad. So, again, as far as plans for her going forward, I would assume, and again, this is just sort of speculation on my part, so I'm kind of guessing, but after you've watched WWE for long enough, you can kind of see where things are headed. As I mentioned, Lita's not going to win the Rumble. She isn't going to win the SmackDown Women's Championship, but neither is Charlotte. Charlotte isn't going to win the Rumble either. She'll be the Women's Champion when it comes to WrestleMania. I think previously it was said that it was likely she was going to be facing Sasha Banks, or at least that was the plan for the SmackDown Women's title at WrestleMania. Whether or not that happens, we'll have to wait and see. So I think we're going to see Lita versus Flair at the Saudi show, and maybe Lita involved in a match at WrestleMania. Like she said in the ring last night, she feels she has one last full-time or one last run in her, and I think she negotiated with AEW and WWE because of that. WWE offered her more money. She's obviously a WWE Hall of Famer. She's got a loyalty to WWE. It's a bigger audience right now, so it makes sense on her part. And let's face it, WWE's women's division is better than AEW's. WWE's philosophy when it comes to women's wrestling is better than AEW's right now, so it's the right move for Lita. So curious where this one's going to go going forward. I'm very interested to see where this one plays out. Speaking of SmackDown last night, we saw a confrontation, a face-to-face, as they called it, between Universal Champion Roman Reigns and his Royal Rumble opponent, Seth Rollins. Now, this was interesting, to say the least. So Rollins tried to get inside Roman Reigns' head. The tribal chief then said he'd much rather face Seth Rollins' wife and current Raw Women's Champion Becky Lynch at the Royal Rumble, indicating that he considers her to be a bigger star than Seth Rollins, which got an ooh from the audience. Ooh. And it's just like, ugh. It makes me laugh because they say those lines, and I think, for me, when they say lines like that, I just roll my eyes. I'm like, oh, you really got him. You really got him there. But the crowd reacts how the crowd reacts. So obviously, they're right to say those lines. If that's the reaction they're going for, they got it. So fair play to them. So Seth Rollins was visibly irritated by that line. Roman's cousins, the Usos, tried to jump Rollins from behind. Rollins got out the ring, hit them, and got back inside the ring to face Reigns once again. The Usos tried to attack him again, but Rollins later evaded and made his way to the back. So they're trying to play this up like, oh, Seth Rollins, because of the background, because they were in the Shield together, because they're brothers, he knows exactly what Roman Reigns is thinking. And because Roman Reigns has all these plans of the Usos, Seth Rollins is one step ahead. It's arguably the most dangerous threat to Roman Reigns yet because he's got someone that knows him, right? That's the angle they're going with, which is fine. As far as this is, like I've said this before, I just don't really. It still feels odd because if you watch Raw this week, Seth Rollins is still 100% a heel on Raw. He faced Big E, he dressed down Big E, he defeated Big E. So if you watch Raw, Seth Rollins is a heel. If you watch Seth Rollins on SmackDown, he's still a heel, but he's more of a babyface. Certainly, you feel more sympathy towards him because of what Roman Reigns was saying and Roman Reigns' tactics towards Rollins. So are they going to try and do a situation whereby, because of the plans that they have in place for Rollins when it comes to WrestleMania on the Raw side of things, he's still going to be a heel on Raw, and just for this random feud on SmackDown, he's going to be a babyface? I don't know. It's still, to me, a heel versus heel match. I think they're positioning it as, yes, Rollins is a bad guy, but he's the better bad guy as opposed to those between him and Roman Reigns. So cheer for Rollins because he's the less bad guy in this situation. I don't know. Either way, Roman Reigns is retaining at the Royal Rumble. I have no doubt in my mind. I'd be stunned if they ended the 500-day or over 500-day Universal Championship reign by Seth Rollins at the Rumble. If they're going to end it, it'd be at Mania or something like that. I don't even think they're going to end it at Mania. We know they're going to get to the Brock versus Roman match at Mania, which we think is title for title right now. It might switch. Certainly Brock could drop the title at the Rumble to Bobby Lashley because you could get the Usos involved or someone like that involved. So that's still a possibility as well. So we'll have to wait and see. Either way, Rollins isn't winning the title at the Rumble. Reigns will retain, and it just felt a bit odd. It just felt a bit odd to me, that segment. But the feud just feels a bit odd because when Rollins showed up and it was announced by Adam Pearce that he would be facing Rollins last week, everyone went, oh, this is interesting. The match is going to be great, but how do you get this story right? And it does seem a little bit confusing as to with Rollins doing double duty on both brands. They haven't explained really why he's on SmackDown, just because he is. But that's kind of, you can find plot holes in a lot of WWE storytelling. It is what it is. We have new number one contenders for the SmackDown Tag Team Championships, that being the Viking Raiders. SmackDown last night opened with the Usos introducing 4 tag teams for a number one contenders fatal 4-way. The match saw the Viking Raiders defeat Los Lotharios, Cesaro and Mansoor, and Jinder Mahal and Shanky. After the match, the Usos got on the announce table and kind of dressed down the Viking Raiders. So it looks like they'll defend the titles against Eric and Ivar at the Royal Rumble. Again, I would be surprised if the Usos dropped the titles at the Rumble. Then again, I was surprised that Rated RKO dropped the Raw Tag Team Championships this past Monday to Alpha Academy. I was really surprised by that. And I'm not complaining about it as well because I like Alpha Academy, but I would be very surprised if the Viking Raiders won the SmackDown Tag Team Championships at the Rumble. It gives the Usos something to do. It's just the tag team division on both brands, frankly. Yes, you've got good teams. So you've got Rated RKO, you've got the Usos, you've got the New Day, but we've been conditioned at this point just to not care about the SmackDown Tag Team titles at all, or the Raw Tag Team titles for that matter. So it's kind of a case of, okay, oh great, the Viking Raiders are the SmackDown Tag Team Champions. They might win it, who knows? But does it really matter? Not really. And that's just systemic over time being conditioned to not really care that much about it. Speaking of the Royal Rumble, new competitors have been announced for the Royal Rumble. Last night, WWE confirmed 4 more names, 4 more SmackDown superstars for the 30-man Royal Rumble match. Sami Zayn announced his spot for the Rumble. He will be participating in the match, and he plans on eliminating Jackass star Johnny Knoxville, who, of course, threw Sami Zayn over the top rope last week. And, of course, Michael Cole, every time the Royal Rumble comes around, explains to the audience, if that happens at the Rumble, he'll be eliminated. So they're doing this Sami Zayn, Johnny Knoxville angle going into the Rumble. Some will say, is it the best use of Sami Zayn? Probably not, but I'll tell you what, that segment last night with Sami Zayn doing his stunt stuff, it's great, because Sami Zayn's really entertaining. He's such a good heel, because he's an annoying heel, but he's entertaining in a fun way, and it's just, is he ever going to be world champion in WWE? Probably not. That's established. And I think Sami Zayn at this point has almost made peace with that. Because he had the opportunity, let's face it, to go elsewhere, to go to AEW. His contract was expiring. But was Sami Zayn going to become world champion in AEW? Probably not there as well. Let's face it, probably not. He's got a ceiling. He knows it. He's being entertaining. He's been involved in, he was involved with that segment with Brock. That was entertaining. He's been now involved with this Johnny Knoxville stuff. I honestly can't complain. I can't complain. So they'll do an angle, they'll do a spot, and as Kurt Angle said in his Hall of Fame speech a couple of years ago, it's about moments, about making moments. Sami Zayn does that. He makes moments. Now, SmackDown also saw Kofi Kingston declare his spot for the Men's Rumble. He also confirmed that King Xavier Woods will not be participating in the match due to the injury he revealed earlier this week. Finally, Madcap Moss and Happy Corbin also announced their Rumble spots whilst interrupting Kingston's promo. So we have more names in the Royal Rumble match. Again, as to who's going to win it, out of the names already announced, I don't know. To be honest with you, I don't know. I think there is still potential that maybe someone like Brock could enter it. If he loses earlier on in the evening or something like that, or Big E. I think Big E's a good choice because the way he lost his title seems still odd to me. So maybe it could be Big E. We'll have to wait and see when it comes to that one. Finally, there's an update when it comes to the Elimination Chamber. We spoke yesterday about the plans to move the Elimination Chamber to actually Saudi Arabia next month. They're going to take the chamber over with them, but I mentioned that it was going to be an Elimination Chamber event, but apparently the Elimination Chamber itself is going to get a name change as well. WWE is reportedly considering a name change for the Elimination Chamber. Officials are currently looking at rebranding the Elimination Chamber to the WrestleMania Chamber, according to Dave Meltzer. It was noted that the name change is not official until it's announced, but it is being considered. So what you've got right now, you've got the Royal Rumble, which doesn't really have anything involved in terms of name when it comes to WrestleMania, but they reference it as the road to WrestleMania begins. That's fine. Then you've got whatever pay-per-view is going to be called, but you've got the WrestleMania Chamber. Then you've got WrestleMania Night 1. Then you've got WrestleMania Night 2. Then you've got WrestleMania Backlash that comes after WrestleMania. Talk about running the brand into the ground. Keep it special. Keep it special, WWE. Have WrestleMania just be WrestleMania. Nobody, they tried to justify when Backlash was branded into WrestleMania Backlash last year and they had more people tuning in, they tried to claim that was because of the name change, because as if it fooled people to thinking, oh, this has something to do with WrestleMania, I'll watch it. Oh, because of the SEO and the search terms, people are going to search for it more because they type in WrestleMania and WrestleMania Backlash comes up. It's cheap. It cheapens WrestleMania. Nobody needs to have constant WrestleMania because then WrestleMania isn't special. And they tried to imply that more people watched WrestleMania Backlash last year because it was called WrestleMania Backlash. No, more people watched it last year because it was on Peacock, and more people have Peacock, and it was one of the first shows to actually be on Peacock. it's just, it's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And look, the Elimination Chamber name, it's not the first time it's been changed. Previously, because of various reasons, of course, the Elimination Chamber event was No Way Out in Germany back in 2010. They also used the phrase No Escape and all that kind of stuff, but it is what it is. WWE, it's a branding thing. It's a branding thing. I'm not massively keen on it. I understand it does have ramifications for WrestleMania, so it would make sense to call it that. I just don't like running the brand into the ground. That's just my opinion, though. But look, guys, as always, it's just one man's opinion. What are your thoughts on all of these WWE news stories we've spoken about today? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I'll do my best to respond and reply to all of your comments. Really enjoy interacting with you guys, talking about WWE, AEW, Impact Wrestling, New Japan Pro Wrestling, all things pro wrestling here on the channel. So be sure to get involved in the community. Drop a comment below. All opinions are welcome. If you have enjoyed this video, please do smash a like on the like button too. Really does help us out here on YouTube. Get the rankings and get into people's recommendation feeds if they haven't seen our videos previously. But most importantly, if you haven't already, please do subscribe to Wrestling News 365. You can do that by clicking the bottom right-hand corner of the screen right now. Or if you wait a few seconds, there'll be a subscribe button at the end of this video along with another video for you to watch. Thank you very much for watching, listening, streaming, or having come across this video today. And I'll speak to you again very, very soon. Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.